What did y'all spill on the table?
It's the shot. It's like it was filled to the brim because it's actually a shooter. So don't worry. We're gonna save the bad one for paying customers only.
What do you mean?
There's 2 shots today.
There's going to be a shot, for this one, and then there'll be a shot for the next one, and the next one is going to be really terrible.
Oh shit, that's the one with the egg in it.
Yeah.
It's funny when I was talking to my mom last week, and I was like, "Oh, what did you think about the recording?" She was like, "It was so much fun. I wish I got to take a second shot. Like, why didn't you do a shot for the second episode?" And I was like, "I don't know. We usually do." So she was like, "I feel gypped." I was like, "I'm sorry."
She could have been on the episode.
I know.
She
She didn't want to.
I know she didn't want to.
But surprise shots. Surprise shots. We don't know what they are because they're a surprise.
So this one is for Brittany. Okay.
All right.
So today, blah, 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 we are doing shots for the Brittany's. This is for one of the Brittany's who this one is actually a request from a while back. But I think I kept on either forgetting an ingredient, but I made sure I had it all for Brittany today. And this is Brittany with an EY, and we're going to do shot for Brittany with an ANY, or Brittany with an ANY next episode. So just so y'all don't get your Brittany's confused, this one is for Brittany and
It's
EY.
Brittany, bitch.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. There was some whiskey and it was pretty good. I don't know what else was in it, but it was good.
That was called the Washington Apple Shot.
Oh, was it Crown Royal Apple with cranberry juice?
Yep. And I did get some sour apple because all the recipes I had said that. Sour apple, Crown, and whiskey and cranberry juice. It also called for a dash of Sprite, but I did not have a big enough shot glass, so we just skipped that part.
We could do that as a cocktail. That was good.
So that was for Brittany. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Brittany.
Thanks, Brittany.
With an E or A?
A.
Can't remember.
No, that one's with
E.
The E. Next episode will be the A. Well, let's welcome some Patreon members before we get started. So we had 2 new members this week. We had a big week last week. Chastity and Serena.
Welcome, Chastity, Serena.
We do now have the lifetime membership available. So
yearly membership.
I was just reading. It says, I'm reading. It says column lifetime, and that's why I said that.
There's a lifetime option?
No, it's just saying like how much somebody has paid you on Patreon. I'm reading that. Sorry.
I feel like having a lifetime membership is dangerous because someone's membership could be like $8 and it's like, wow, how much time before I die?
Well, no, if it's what? No, if they do a lifetime membership and then we stop podcasting in 2 years and then 10 years later, they're like, hello?
Refund.
Where is the videos? Then we have to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I was like, are you sure you want to flip this button to year? That means we have to keep it going.
I didn't even know that was an option.
It's relatively new on Patreon. So
no,
thanks
I meant the option to not keep going.
Oh, yeah. I think
we got to now.
We've sold our souls in exchange for the promise of, wealth and shit.
Well, how's that working for us?
All right.
All right.
Everybody ready to get started? We got a lovely episode today. We actually spun the wheel for this episode. So on our Discord page, we had a few members help me pick the story, and I basically put a number system. It was like 1 through 16, and the numbers were like unsolved, brutal, female killers, male killers, serial killers, like all these different categories. And then we spun this wheel online, and it landed on brutal. So this episode is
brutal.
It's brutal, but it's from Chris.
All right.
Yeah,
and Chris is the winner of the Jesus versus Dahmer, correct?
Yeah, we sent that out. So
yes, we did. So Chris, please let us know who wins.
Yeah, and as for the
Jesus or Dahmer.
As for the contest tonight, for you guys listening, we are going to give away a signed and rule book.
Are we doing the winner next episode?
We're going to do the winner next episode.
Okay.
You don't have to be on the episode to win, but you do have to be a member. And the contest was send in your most embarrassing childhood photos. And I got some good ones.
Did you like mine, Jen?
I didn't see them. Where are they?
Well, he used my embarrassing childhood photo as the post on Patreon to collect entries.
I didn't see that because I didn't get a chance to send mine in because I didn't know where we were sending them.
So
Well, I know we're gonna. Do you want to pull up mine? Because it was just to tease it.
if you are a supporter of us, if you are one of our supporters, talkmore.com/join, you can participate in these weekly giveaways. And I have a new really cool thing to give away. Does anybody recognize this guy? So this is a signed book we're giving away. If you guys want this, if not, I can give away some other ones. But this is signed by the man himself, Johnny Cochran, before he died. Johnny Cochran.
Oh, Johnny Cochran is dead, confirmed.
Yeah, he's been dead for a long time.
He's been dead for a long time.
What the fuck? This is a signed copy of his book, Journey to Justice, but still, it's his signature. He put his hand on this book. I think there's some blood on there, OJ's blood. He was framed.
If the glove does not fit, you must acquit.
So I got some really cool stuff, but you got to be a supporter, talkmore.com/join. Also, real quick, before we get started, I am sponsored by Jupiter CBD. I use it every day. Getjupiter.com/llama to get 10% off. And then you can get a 20% off on top of that when you auto ship it. So that is my plug. If you go to getjupiter.com/llama, LLAMA, you can read my story and my pretty faces there. Also, Johnny Llama on YouTube is my channel on there. So anything you want to plug?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys got the picture that I sent, but I saw this water. I think we should reach out to them and see if they would.
Oh, Liquid Death.
Liquid Death.
I've seen that at Whole Foods, actually.
We don't
Isn't
even
that
drink
funny?
water.
I do. But like
John does not
but
drink water.
they have just water and they have sparkling water too.
Oh.
And it's all about it having an environmentally friendly
instead of plastic. it
instead of
uses aluminum.
plastic. Yeah, and the phrase is "murder your thirst." I think I took a picture of the
You did. Why not? Let's reach out. We're up to 2 bottles a month of Jupiter CBD because of the dogs.
The dogs,
so.
yeah. Anyway, let's get started. This episode is for Chris, and we are covering the monster of the Andes. Anybody know where the Andes are?
Switzerland, right?
Yes.
Oh no, that's the Alps.
Right outside of Africa.
Wait.
All right.
It started with an A.
All right.
I was like trying to stop you. Like, don't.
All right, here we go.
Where are they? Someone tell me.
Well,
South
that's Africa.
America.
That's definitely Africa. So
It's just a little Africa, that's all.
Pangea!
all right, so tonight we're actually going to March 1980. We're going to 3 countries tonight. We're going to this country, which is what?
Ecuador.
Peru,
Okay, and guess what? What's the one right to it? To the right of it?
Colombia?
Not you, her.
Oh.
Colombia.
All right, we are going to
Colombia.
Ecuador. We're actually starting in Ecuador, in Ambato. And this video, this little Google Earth, I kind of zoom in because, as I said, we're covering the monster of the Andes. So he's killed a ton of people in the Andes mountain region. So I was trying to find one of these little tribes, but there's these little tribes out there spread around Ecuador and Colombia and Peru, especially around the Andes mountain there, the Andes Mountains. And so that's his killing ground. This whole thing I'm showing you right now on Google Earth is his killing ground. So, and I'll put all these photos on talkmore.com. So for podcast listeners, you can go there and see all the photos. I got some good ones. So the theme is brutal, and I pulled all the brutalness I can find. I pulled all the information you're going to ever find on the story. I can promise you that. This is kind of, there's not much information because this story takes place over 3 countries, number one. And they don't really, a lot of these countries don't really care about, I guess we don't either, about the poor, impoverished people of the nation. And so there's hardly any pictures. There's hardly any documents. And I mean, just if you just look at the prison, I'll show you the prison of where this guy was held. It doesn't look like what we have, the nice, government establishment.
Camp, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we are starting March 1980. We're starting in Ambato, Ecuador. Ecuador is notorious, and in fact, I think it is because of the earthquakes. But so when I was researching this story, I went to 1980 and I looked for flash floods. And what I found is a lot of earthquakes that happen in this area. So I don't know if the earthquakes kind of shift the plates or whatever and cause the flash floods or not. But
well, is it on a fault line?
I don't know. I know there's a lot of earthquakes. Probably. But anyway, March 1980, a flash flood occurred in Ecuador, and it was terrible. A lot of people were displaced, and a lot of crops and sustenance was ruined. And also, there were 4 bodies that the water unearthed from this little township in Ecuador. Now, we don't have a photo of the 4 bodies, but I do have some photos of the skulls and stuff like that. 4 bodies unearthed by this flood. They were all female. They were all very young, 8 to 12 years of age. They were all from local villages, and they were all sadistically tortured. Okay, so what do you guys think? This is one of the evidence photos here. If you want to describe what you're seeing, I'll put this on talkmore.com.
That's 2 skulls among the brush.
One front, like facing front, and one facing back.
Yeah, so the thing about this story is this person that we're talking about tonight, this monster of the Andes. So to get a name like the monster of the Andes, how many people do you think he would have to kill?
37.
57?
You see this photo right here, there's 2 skulls.
This reminds me of La Bestia. La Bestia.
Yeah, he's actually
he was Colombian, right? Yeah.
This guy is also Colombian too. So that guy is Colombian and this guy is too.
I changed my answer to 128.
Okay, if it's the second, now you've got snuck in 2 there, so you can say
you remember,
is like original gen locations.
You remember we used to yell at you for that.
Yeah.
You also used to yell at me when I didn't give my answer, and I said I was going to say that. Even you say, no, you weren't, even though it was something I was going to say.
Okay, how about this? Every time you make a mistake or do something we don't like, you have to drink a beer from the flask.
The beaker.
The beaker.
So you guys are going to buy me a 12-pack per week? Is that how it's going to work? Or
if you want.
No, I'm just saying I do a lot of things you don't like.
Latia says 128.5.
So I do pee in that during the week.
I can't confirm or deny whether he's joking. I'm pretty sure he uses that to water the money tree.
The only thing is, like, that's something he would do because he doesn't want to get up to go to the bathroom.
It is,
so
which is literally like out. He just has to walk like 20 feet in order to reach the bathroom.
I'm just kidding, yeah. I've never peed in that. Oh yeah, it would fit in there. I could fold it in half and it would still fit in that.
Well, you don't necessarily have to put it in there. You can aim.
You can aim.
We don't have that luxury.
Yeah, no, that would
unless
be messy.
we get shiwis.
Yeah, messy.
Oh shit! She had drank so much of it. Honestly, let's move on. I've never done that. Come on.
But as soon as I reach for it, he's gonna say he's kidding.
No,
and you're not gonna know which kind of kidding.
I'll drink from it.
No, yeah, but you've drank.
But it would be your own
You're
pee.
fine drinking your own pee.
Yeah.
You've probably done it.
Yeah, I had to in the military.
Exactly.
Why had to? I don't understand.
Because Bear Grylls does it.
No.
Yes,
Did Bear Grylls talk about that in Nashville?
No.
He probably drank it right on the stage. He's notorious for that.
But it was very cliche.
But like what he does,
honestly,
like Bear Grylls, his shows, they're not even actually like in the woods.
Natasha literally just said, "Ha! Oh my God, what are you, Bear Grylls, John?"
Have you seen that video with so it's this collage of Man versus Wild, and he's like crossing this stream, and then one of these YouTubers went to that exact same, because like he's crossing the stream and you look out and it's like vast nothingness. One of these YouTubers went to the exact same stream, crossed it, but the camera was facing the other way, and there's like a Walmart and a fucking like movie theater. It's like, what the fuck?
Man versus Wild is actually right the little woods off of the highway.
Yeah, I mean, shit, dude. You know, the show never said that he was going to. Yeah, I mean, the dude is British SAS. He's a badass no matter what.
Is he British?
You may get your herb beer.
No.
I'll drink that one. I do need an herb beer.
No, you know what? I'm just gonna do it because
I mean, you don't have to follow John's random rules. Also,
we all follow John's random rules. That's how we keep this thing going.
yeah, that's true. We just obey.
That's how we're still at the bottom. All right, let's freaking go, man.
Okay.
March 1980, flash flood, Ecuador, 4 female bodies unearthed, all female between the ages of 8 and 12, all sadistically tortured.
Fun fact, how do you tell if it's a male or female?
By
The size of the
penis?
skull?
By the hips.
Oh, the skulls.
By the
by
hips.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Because y'all
If
got
they're
them
wide,
birthing hips.
Correct.
Well, if it's not a skull.
It's like if it's open versus like it's literally like a different.
So y'all are made for birthing, and then y'all all complain that it hurts when you're giving birth.
I'm not complaining because I don't have kids. I ain't having kids. So
That shit don't hurt.
Who wants to supply us with one of those machines that men can feel what birthing feels like?
Oh my God.
no shit.
That's
Just
so
and that's just the
ridiculous.
contractions.
That's so dumb.
Why don't you try to have you ever passed a kidney stone?
No.
Well, take that.
It's not the same. Your vagans is larger. That hole is like this big compared to a penis hole.
What do you
which is
think? What?
the hole of a vagina is huge
No.
compared to a penis hole.
No.
What do you mean no?
I mean, yes, it's larger than a penis hole, but you're like going like this. It's not that big.
We're talking centimeters.
All right, where's my measuring stick?
Yes, a child's head that's like this big has to come out of a hole that's naturally like this big.
So they started a manhunt initially off the bat, but who the fuck are they looking for?
They don't know.
They're looking for a man, obviously, because a woman wouldn't do this.
Well,
And that manhunt lasted literally as soon as it started. They didn't know who they were looking for at all. There's no evidence besides the skulls that came out the ground.
how long have they been there for, do you think?
They didn't even know. I mean, they don't have the technology that we got to determine that stuff. I mean, they were more recent than the other bodies that are going to be found. I will tell you that. But days after the flood, around the same sort of area, a Carlina Ramon Proveta was with her daughter. Now, this woman is a vendor at the local market. This is her right here, and her daughter.
Oh.
She is a vendor at the local market, and this man enters, the same man we're talking about tonight, the monster of the Andes, although no one knows this at the time, but he poses as a peddler. He's posing as a peddler, selling chains, padlocks, jewelry, and he's not really concentrating on selling that stuff because he doesn't really care about it. He's just given the appearance of that.
So he can look for his victims?
Yeah, what he's really trying to do is seduce this 11-year-old child who you see in the photo right here. This is Maria, the 11-year-old child in this photo. That's what he's really trying to do. And he does get caught, and he does provide an interview, so we can see his entire MO here in a little bit. But Maria tells her mother that, something's weird with this guy or whatever. The mother doesn't really do anything, just kind of keeps his eye on her. And then she sees later in the day her daughter walking with this man out of the market.
She saw Maria walking out of the marketplace holding the hand of a tall stranger. She followed them to the end of the market area. Afraid to leave the security of her friends, she began shouting and accusing Lopez of stealing her daughter.
Okay, so who we're talking about tonight is Pedro Lopez. And in fact, on the Discord, I asked everyone if they wanted to vote for Pedro, right?
Yeah. Hey, can I have your tots?
You bring me my chapstick?
Tina, you fat lard, come get your ham.
I don't get that fucking movie. I'm sorry.
I don't either, but it's quotable.
Yeah, have you seen the one where he's like an ice skater?
Oh yeah, Blades of Glory.
Yeah.
Okay, so fun fact, during the school year we had staff Winter Olympics, and one of the events was like ice skating, so you had to do like a routine. So one of my friends and I did a doubles routine, and it was fantastic. We had one of the dance teachers coordinate it, and we wore tutus. It was fantastic. We won gold. But
Nice.
But my friend, who's the librarian, it was her and one of the baseball coaches made one of those movie poster like face and hole type thing
yeah.
of me and my. Don't think of. I saw you perk up when I said face and hole, not that hole, not that hole.
With the butthole then, or what?
But literally, his attention span went from.
He did the same thing when you mentioned sharing a bed with another
Yeah, he
girl.
did, because whenever I talk, he turns his ears off. So he
does it to me too.
Yeah, it's just a female thing. But it was the Blades of like they put our faces on the Blades of Glory.
Nice.
Because we did like the.
Nice.
Well, they say a man thinks about sex every 8 seconds. That's fucking bullshit. Because I think about it like every 2 seconds.
Wow.
I think about it never.
All right, so
Yeah, it's just an afterthought.
this mother watches her child walking out of the marketplace. She freaking flips her shit. She runs over there, and everyone in the marketplace, all the buyers, customers, vendors, they all stop what they're doing. They run over there, and I can pretty much guarantee that they are not nice to this guy. They most likely put him on the ground and beat the titties out of him.
Did they have like torches and pitchforks?
This is the guy right here. This is Pedro.
Oh,
He's got that distant look, like in the emo bands you
looks-
listen to.
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah, that does look like a band cover.
He's a pretty good looking guy. What do you think? Maybe this one? Look at that.
That's like a Tinder. These are like Tinder photos for the 80s.
Look, he's got the watch. He's like,
Look at my watch. If it ain't no Rolly, I want it.
do you think that guy could convince he can convince a 10-year-old to go home with him or to walk away with him? Do you think he looks good for a Colombian? I mean,
I don't know if you can say that.
the only Colombian I know besides my Spanish teacher is, well, when I had a Spanish teacher, is the girl from Modern Family.
Sofia
Vergara.
Yeah, because
Oh,
my Spanish teacher was from the same village or whatever as her.
that's cool. I mean, I think it's more just like he's an older gentleman, and so I feel like he would have no problem picking up women his age, but I think luring a child is different altogether.
Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't really have much to do with how you look as much as just how you're trying to make them feel like comfortable and like you're luring them maybe with something. Like
Yeah.
candy, money,
So it's-
clothes, whatever.
As you'll see, it's usually money or some sort of trinkets. Anyway, they arrest this guy, and they arrest him still looking for the guy who killed these 4 girls. And there's this guy in the market who just lured away a 10-year-old. That fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah.
That fits the bill perfectly. Anyway, he denies it. He calls the mother a, quote, dirty Indian. That's what, I don't know why they use the term Indians over there, but I've seen that a lot in this case. That is kind of a derogatory.
It's like the indigenous.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something like that. It's more of a derogatory term from this story, at least, because these people, and the reason he's killed so many is because they are not of high worth through society, right? They're impoverished, stuff like that. Anyway, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do shit. It's not me. And they didn't have him for anything except trying to lure this girl away. And even then, he was saying, she's lying. The mother's lying.
But how was he luring them?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll get to that. So they can't get anything out of them. The officers come up with this grand idea. The only person Pedro Lopez hasn't seen yet is the captain. And this captain's name was Cordova Gudino. So he's like, you know what? Let's try something. And this was the first time in this little village's history. I mean, literally. They were like, let's try something. Why don't you dress up as a priest? This is the guy, the captain. Like, he's grabbing his balls. What the fuck?
No, it's
He's
just
not grabbing. He
over.
just has his hand.
It's like over his.
Even this is like a Tinder fucking profile pic. He's giving. This is their gang sign, by the way.
Is it?
The 5 clans.
Speaking of the 5 clans, do you know that Mike Myers has a new series on Netflix called The Pentaveret?
I just made. What's 5 clans? Is that a thing?
No, but Pentaveret means 5 and Penta.
Oh.
This guy goes in. The officer goes in there dressed as a priest and says, and he pretends to be this father.
So he's trying. It's like a false confession.
It's a exactly.
Real confession, but he thinks he's confessing his sins to the priest instead of confessing what he did to the cops.
There you go. So now this fake father sits with this man for an entire month. Now he goes in and out, obviously, but for an entire month. First, it started with him admitting to rape because he didn't think this was going to be used against him. He's telling a father. He first admitted to being a rapist, and then over the entire month, this man, Pedro Lopez, confessed to the murders of over 300 little girls. He said, I've killed 110 girls in Ecuador. I've killed 100 in Peru. I've also killed more than 100 in Colombia.
But is he bragging and inflating that number?
No, he is not.
Oh, okay.
Well, you wouldn't want like God to know. I mean, God's going to know regardless. I mean, if in Catholic faith, he's going to know. But like, if you're telling the priest, like, I don't know, you wouldn't tell a priest that you did more than what you did.
I would lie to a priest.
But if he was like maybe psychologically just wanting someone to know, I don't know. I could see maybe a real sociopath.
Yeah, but
doing that. I don't know.
Why wouldn't these countries know that over 100 children have gone missing? It's got to be fake. He says to the fake father, quote, I am an orphan. I need help. My mother deserted me. God has deserted me. I sleep each night in this closed room. I cannot see a star above me. I am going to die here.
Well, maybe the kids that were missing were orphans.
So just to clarify, so I think I confused this part earlier. So the person that was impersonating a priest was the police officer.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying Pedro was impersonating the priest to lure children.
No.
I thought that's what you said at first. Sorry. So is that legal?
I think
To
you have
rape and murder 300 children?
No. To like
Impersonate a
impersonate a priest to get a confession like that? That's pretty.
This is
It's like going
Ecuador,
undercover.
okay?
I mean,
It's
that's
like
sneaky.
It's like the episode of Reno 911 when they pose as a.
The prostitutes getting takeout.
I love that show. I used to have a crush on that the blonde. What's her name? Anyway.
Dig your own grave. I feel like that's a really interesting tactic and very clever to get a confession out of somebody.
I did pull a lot of this information from a Ryan Green book. However, I did also pull the same information from newspapers, but I did want to read this one quote from the Ryan Green book. It's called Colombian Killers, and it says, quote, his pride was sickening, and yet the police had little choice but to follow him around and encourage him to take them to the next site, because he's going to go to site. They desperately needed the information that only Lopez himself could give them, so they continued to supply him with cigarettes and alcohol.
Sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
We may never know exactly how many young girls Lopez killed. His estimate of 300 may be very low. In the beginning, he cooperated and took us each day to 3 or 4 hidden bodies. Then he tired, changed his mind, and stopped helping.
When he finally opens up, he says, okay, and he opens up and he says his whole life story. Because as you'll see, this guy really wants the attention. In fact, in a quote that you're going to read earlier, he says about the prison conditions, I'm not getting the exercise, sunlight, or fresh air needed. I cannot see this. I cannot see the sky. This is wrong, for I am the man of the century. I will be famous in history.
I just don't understand how someone has time to kill that many people.
It's a full-time job at that point.
It's
You got to make time, Jen. All right, his life story, which he confesses to the media, because I found papers in America covering this story at the time when he was locked up, which means it has a lot of push, a lot of clout to it, because this is a small little village in Ecuador. But anyone saying that they've killed 300 and now they're taking and showing body by body by body, that really is newsworthy. So he says, here's my life story. I was born to a prostitute in Tolima, Colombia. I was the 7th of 13 children. I grew up very poor. My mother was a prostitute, and I watched her get raped and be abused and have sex with hundreds of men. At 8 years old, I raped my own sister, and I was kicked out of the home. I was banished. My mother banished me for life. He says that he goes back home. This is in 1957. He goes back home. The mother refuses to let him back inside. The neighbors actually bring him in and take him to the mother's house. And the mother's like, okay, here, come on in. The next day, the mother and Pedro get on a bus. They drive 105 kilometers away, which is about 85 miles, and she drops him off at the city border with no food, no shelter, nothing. You're banished. Don't ever come back here. And now he's 8 years old, homeless at 8. Okay. An old man finds this boy and says, why are you out on the streets? Do you need food? Do you need a shelter? Let me take care of you. So his luck was finally turning around. This man takes him to an abandoned shelter and violently rapes him, then leaves him there to die. An 8-year-old boy. From now on, Pedro Lopez will never willingly sleep indoors again. Being in jail is obviously, he can't help it.
Right.
He will never sleep indoors again if he can help it. Quote, I slept on the steps of the marketplaces and plazas. I looked up and knew that if I could see a star, I was under the protection of God. He also says, quote, I lost my innocence at age 8, so I decided to do the same to as many young girls as I could.
Oh, God.
Now he doesn't trust humans, especially adults. He was scavenging for food out of dumpsters and just scraps. He's at 8 years old in dumpster diving until he was 10. He traveled all the way to Bogota, which was quite a far travel for an 8-year-old with no transportation. And he did actually get really lucky this time. He was adopted, so to speak, or taken home by an American family who was spending time in Bogota for an extended stay. And they did love him as an elderly couple. They loved him and took care of him. They fed him and they put him in school until he was 12 years old. In middle school, when he was 12 years old, his teacher, which was a, quote, middle-aged woman teacher, started to molest him and rape him after class. So he basically snapped again and says, I can't even trust anyone, any adults, including my own parents, the foster parents who took me in. He flees back to the streets in 1963 because of that teacher. The next 6 years, he is begging for money and he's committing crimes. He becomes a car thief and was actually doing pretty well, being paid pretty good.
As a car thief,
a car thief, yeah.
Seems lucrative from, Grand Theft Auto has taught us.
Yeah, I couldn't really make it work for me, but... At 18, he was arrested for GTA 5. At 18, he's arrested for Grand Theft Auto. What?
Sorry.
At 18, he's arrested for Grand Theft Auto, 7-year sentence in jail. Okay. The first 2 days, on the second day, he's in jail serving a 7-year sentence. He is violently gang raped by 4 older inmates. So he's 18 at this point. He is violently raped. And then he did something fucking mad respect.
Killed him.
2 weeks go by and...
It took 2 weeks to manufacture a knife, but Alonso, according to his confessions to Ecuadorian police, enticed the rapists one at a time into the dark cell and murdered 3 of them one bloody afternoon.
Okay, hold on a second. He hunts down every one of the inmates that raped him. 4
Don't
of
blame
them.
him for that. Yeah, I said I don't blame him for that.
He takes this shank, he lures them into the cell. Hey, do you want to come be my boyfriend type of thing or whatever? Lured them in there, shanked them all. Vital organs, every one of them, 3 of them. He stacked them up in the cell. I mean, he he hit the vital organs immediately. Jugular, wrist, like stacks them up. Then the fourth inmate that raped him walks in and sees this fucking horror and then looks at this guy. He's all crazy with a fucking shank. And this guy books it through the jail. And Pedro Lopez, the 18-year-old with his shank, is running full speed after this guy. And he's going to fucking kill him.
The fourth man stumbled across the bodies in the cell and ran screaming through the prison.
He's running through the prison in front of all the inmates, like in the chow hall, trips the guy up, and just goes straight for the jugular. Fucking mad respect, dude.
I mean,
right there,
that component of the story.
Dead in front of fucking hundreds of inmates. No one fucked with him again. In fact, because most prison inmates would get additional years for murder, right? I mean, this is murder, premeditated murder.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent 2 weeks sharpening the shank. They respected him so much that all they did was tack on another 2-year extension to his sentence. So it went from 7 to 9. 1978, he's released from prison.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, had he been charged for 4 murders for that, he probably wouldn't have been released and done all those terrible things. I mean, like, while justified what he did, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a prison documentary on one of those streaming things. It talks about the Colombian prisons. They're apparently like the worst prisons to go to. Like just brutal. A lot of the gangs that like from the Medellin gangs and stuff are in that prison. Just supposed to be really, I don't know. Anyway.
It gets a 1 star on TripAdvisor.
9 years later.
5-star on Prison Advisor.
Prison Advisor. 1978. In 1978, he's walking free. He did his sentence. The first murder, and he was like, you know what? I'm just going to be a nomad, and I'm just going to go around these different countries, and I'm just going to kill and rape and strangle these little girls. And that was his mission. He said it was his mission in life from God.
That's so sad, and I think it's terrible. But also, he didn't really have good models as a child. Like, he didn't know that that's not what happens to kids. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that he's absolved of what he did at all. I think it's absolutely horrendous, but also, like, he was raped by his teacher. He was raped by his mom's patrons. Like, he didn't know, maybe he didn't know that's not what you do with children.
Since he was raped himself.
Yeah.
Or it sounds like
times.
he just wanted revenge.
Yeah.
Like a twisted form of revenge to like do to others what happened to him.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Well, here's a little going into his psychology. So he killed over 300, and he could tell you where every one of those bodies were buried and exactly what he did to them. Just think about that for psychology.
He would probably be a good waiter.
Remember, everyone's orders.
Yeah.
All right. The first victim he killed was on the border of Ambato, a newspaper seller buried under a bridge, complete skeleton, tortured. They could tell by the bones. Her name was Hortensia Garces Lozada. This is one of the victims. I don't know if this is the first, but this is kind of what they look like. Very young. She's actually in
It's her first communion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if you can tell. That's from the newspaper, but she's got her hands like in a prayer or something. Whatever. She was lured away with $10. So he would use trinkets or dollars or something to lure these kids away from their mothers, and then he would bring them. A lot of the graves are mass graves because he would use the same one. He would just dump. So he would go to village to village to village throughout 3 different countries, kill, rape first, strangle very violently, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and then dump in the shallow looking grave or under a bridge. And he would throw 3 or 4 under there at the time. One of the other ones, and Evanova Jacome, she was actually one of the ones that got him caught initially because she was a daughter of a successful baker. There were news coverages and flyers throughout Ecuador. Her body was mutilated and raped and found on an abandoned farm. Here's another photo here and there's not many photos, but this is kind of the crime scene, I guess. You see kind of where he was, just kind of tossed. The MO is strangulation. At least 3. Now, so most of these are skeletons.
Yep.
The ones that still have flesh on them, the flesh isn't always there because the
Animals.
wildlife carries it off. But there were a lot of victims found that still had their, like, for instance, their eyeballs or whatever. At least 3 were found, quote, with their eyes out of their sockets due to the force of strangulation, end quote.
I don't like that.
He was choking them.
Oh,
It's like a pug, like a dog pug.
Yeah, they
no,
were.
it reminds me of those like toys.
Yeah, the
squeeze
stress dolls,
toys.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They say that pugs are not like a regular dog anymore.
What do you mean?
They've been overbred.
Or are they now a cat?
No, I can't think of the term. I would have to look it up. I saw an article.
Like they're
about
too
it.
like inbred.
Well, let's fucking kill them
thing?
all. Wait, that's fucked up.
That's terrible.
They-
Says the biggest dog lover in the world.
All right. He would squeeze the neck so hard that the eyeballs would pop out of the sockets. Yeah, it's like one of those little toys.
Yeah,
They would pop out. That is a lot of force.
I don't like that at all.
A newspaper woman who interviewed him, which you're going to see a photo of her in a second. In fact, I'll show you the photo now. This is her that interviewed him. This is what she said about how he would strangle the victims. If you see here, this woman bravely chose to interview Pedro. This is how we got the only one interview that we have of him. She bravely chose to do that because he said when he was locked up, he hasn't seen a woman in so long, he just wants to touch a woman. So he would only confess and tell his life story to her, to a woman like this. And you see the cop in the background. Apparently, this guy has his hand on the trigger.
Yeah, I bet.
Because they were real worried that he would freaking try to choke her. But he's got he's got huge fingers.
Yeah, his hands are big.
Holy
Make
shit.
a great guitar
Good
player.
Lord. Yeah, good bass player.
You know what they say about guys with big hands?
They can, I don't know.
They have big gloves.
Oh.
He was brooding and silent, but when I suggested I wanted to be his friend, Alonso, a surprisingly tall man in this land of short people, leapt to his feet and enthusiastically shook hands. A terrible pain began. The pressure grew stronger. I tried not to scream out. Alonso suddenly let go with a smile. Police said many of the victims had been strangled with great force.
With great force. So I need to point out his full name is Pedro Alonso Lopez. That's why they said Alonso. Police said many of the victims had been strangled with great force. Obviously, the eyeballs popped out of the socket. I mean, you saw his freaking fingers. Go to talkmurder.com. I'll put this photo on there. I didn't notice this before, but them are some fucking bass playing fingers right there. He needs to be in a freaking band.
Yeah.
I mean, I would kill for them fingers, man.
Yeah.
God has not he's blessed me with little things.
Sometimes those are the best things.
Everything on me is little. I'm just kidding. So he said he would travel and murder. He started in Colombia. He would murder women. Well, when he got out the first time, he said young girls, police initially would think they were runaways, or perhaps there was like a sex prostitution ring being worked in the area. Hundreds of women were killed by this one man, girls, all victims between the ages of 8 and 12, young children. It's like eating chicken. Why eat old chicken when you can have young chicken? That's what he said. That's a quote from him.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean,
Well, if you never had young chicken, I don't know. It really doesn't.
It reminds me of Jen's question the other day of
I eat
what
eggs
we
all the
eat.
time. I
Do
don't know
we
what
eat
he's talking
roosters or
about.
hens? Mostly
Well,
hens.
it's kind of like venison and deer, I guess. A lot of
Or
people
like lamb and older lambs, lamb and sheep.
yeah.
Yes.
Or what's that bird that is like a delicacy that you have to cover your face when you eat it?
Oh, isn't that a? I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about, but
pretty
I don't.
cool.
Nope.
I don't get that. Why would you have to cover your face? Because
Because it's you're eating
Helpless little animal.
and it's just
we do that all the time, though. Any meat that we eat, they were helpless animals.
Thanks, Jen.
All right.
You know what I was thinking
Guess
about?
I'll have a salad for dinner.
You know, I was thinking about how they're having the alien trials, UFO trials.
What? No, I don't know. What is that?
I can't go into detail about it because I don't have a full detail right
Well,
now.
tell me. I'm
They're
interested.
having trials about the UFOs. They're like declassifying a whole bunch of stuff. There's trials about it going on right now.
Trials?
Yeah.
Wait, somebody's getting sued?
I don't know. I can't give you the details because I don't know all of them. But I will say that like we're probably aliens.
Speak for yourself, motherfucker. I'm an American.
Yeah, but like, have you ever thought about that? Like, I know evolution, but like, what if we're the original aliens? Maybe that's why it's so. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people think that we came from an asteroid. That's called the panspermia model. Seriously, that our bacteria was transported here from some sort of asteroid. Because the theory about us being born, I mean, besides obviously Adam and Eve, but is we were one cell organisms in this like bubbling soup of shit. Yeah. And a lot of people just don't believe it. They think that we were just transplanted here from an asteroid bacteria. Or, I mean, there are ancient alien theorists that believe that we were aliens and conquered this planet. And that's why we have like Stonehenge and shit like that. Because, I mean, a lot of those structures we can't even duplicate today.
Right.
Like the pyramids and stuff.
Yeah.
You can't cut, even today, them pyramids. And if they did it without the tools and equipment that we have today, then, I mean, how do they do it?
What if we were just an experiment from the other aliens that's like, let's see how our kind does here. Let's put them there and we'll wipe their memory.
Well,
You heard it here first, folks.
Shit. I mean...
I need to drink more.
Dude,
for that conversation.
I honestly think it's a simulation, man. I'm telling you, dude, the way that... Anyway, fuck it.
If this is a simulation, whoever is playing my sim needs to help me out because I am so lonely.
You need the code Rosebud. Rosebud.
What's the money? The other one, the money one.
Rosebud's the money one.
No. There's another one. I don't know. I need that one, and I also need for them to like not make my sim so lonely.
Aww. What are you gonna depress it? I'm just kidding. Dude, if it is, we're doing a good job because, like, if you're trying, let's say somebody's playing Sims and we're all Sims.
Yeah.
At least we're keeping it interesting for them. If we're just all, like, uninteresting, he's like, fuck, I'll play a different game, pull the plug.
But maybe our sim player is making it interesting because he's getting bored. So he's like, what else could I fuck up for them?
Yeah. Let's add this
like
RFID chip.
Like
monkeypox.
Yeah, like COVID-19 isn't enough. Let's add monkeypox.
And fucking murder hornets.
Murder hornets. I'm serious. They found a case of monkeypox in Massachusetts. They're finding it now. They're like pussy welts on your, and they can be deadly.
No thanks.
Have you seen pictures? Look it up.
I don't want to.
All right.
It's gross.
So this is the only interview we have from this guy, and obviously it's translated to English, but this is his exact quote about his MO.
I would walk among the markets looking for a girl with a certain look on her face, a look of innocence and beauty. She would be working with her mother. I would follow them, sometimes 2 or 3 days, and wait for a moment when the mother left her alone. I would approach the girl, give her a small mirror, and tell her I had a present for her. I had a present for her mother too, and that we would go to a store and pick it up as a surprise for her. I would take the girl by the hand out of the market to the outskirts of town, find a deserted place where we could not be seen. There I would treat her well, kindly, and gently. I would hold her in my arms all night long, and she would sleep relaxed and protected. I would be like a father to her. Lopez said he never killed at night because, quote, I had to watch them die by daylight.
Lopez said, quote, I would hold her in my arms all night and she would sleep relaxed and protected. I would be like a father, or I would be like a father to her. He would then kill them only in the daytime because, quote, I had to watch them die by daylight. So obviously you saw the guy earlier, and this is his Tinder profile right here. I mean, these girls are going home with him willingly.
Well, they're girls, not women. Correct. And he's luring them by saying he's getting a gift for their mother.
Jen, he would only kill him in the morning time because he wants to see them die by daylight. All right. I like the girls in Ecuador. They are gentle.
Ecuadorian.
They are more gentle and trusting and more innocent. They are not suspicious of strangers as Colombian girls. But I am not sorry for what I did. How can anyone judge me? I came from poverty that others can't explain. So when he was 27 years old, he was traveling through Peru, and he ended up in a tribe in northern Peru, the Ayachucos. And there he tried to abduct a 9-year-old girl. He was caught by the tribe. They stripped him naked, tortured him, and buried him alive. However, there was an American missionary there at the time, and she said, come on, guys. Why don't you let the justice system do its thing? Fucking American, right? Anyway, she said that this guy should be punished by the proper authorities, which, they said, okay, unbury him. He gets in the back of her truck and delivered to the Peruvian police. One thing about the MO about how he thinks of sex, quote, the arrival of life is divine. It comes through an act of sex. And so if an innocent person dies in the act of sex, it is also divine. That person will find heaven without suffering in the world. The Peruvian police didn't care about it because he was just killing Indians from what, and it was just a waste of their time.
Oh, I don't like that either.
He was eventually caught in Ecuador. That would be the last time he was caught. And why do you think he liked killing in Ecuador more than any of the other two countries?
Well, were the people that killed his mother Ecuadorian?
Killed his mother. His mother's not dead.
Oh.
So, all right. Anyway.
I thought you said that his mother was...
Well, he was tortured and raped when he was 8.
Okay, were those people Ecuadorian?
Actually, let me back up. I'm actually going back to remember the flash flood in Ambato, Ecuador when we started the story?
Uh-huh.
Let's go back there.
Okay.
After that, the flood came up, and then he's back in prison. So this episode, has basically been him reciting his life. But he's still in prison. He's in prison in Ecuador, reciting his life, yada, 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 where he was caught after the flood. So now we're back in March 1980.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. So he's in Ecuador, and he's charged with 57 counts of murder because he showed 53 grave sites and the 4 bodies that were uncovered. He fully confessed he was charged with 110 murders. Now, it's very important that he fully confessed, because if you confess completely to everything, then you can't get charged later. It's like double jeopardy.
Right.
So if I go and if I rob a bank here in Charleston and I do 7 years, if I get out, I can rob the same bank because they can't try me.
False.
I don't think that's how it works.
False.
So he confessed to everything for the double jeopardy reasons. Okay, so anyway, he's charged 57 counts of murder. He fully confessed, and they actually put him in a women's prison, because in a women's prison, he, quote, he is in the women's section, but there is no problem for women prisoners because he is only interested in children, which is pretty smart.
No?
Is there no room in the men's prison?
No, you can't put a pedophile child rapist and killer with a bunch of dudes.
Because he'll get killed.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Isolated in the women's section of the prison in Ambato, 160 kilometers south of Quito, Ecuador, Pedro Alonso Lopez waits in fear. He believes he will be castrated or burned alive by guards or inmates for his historic crimes. Lopez is considered the worst mass murderer in history. Police say he raped and strangled more than 300 young girls in Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru. Hands on pistols, nervous guards watched as steel door to cell number 14 was unlocked in the Ambato jail, high in the Andes Mountains. Quote, I am badly treated here, he began. Guards look at me through the bars. Sometimes they show me a knife and say they will come in at night and mutilate my body. I'm not getting exercise, sunlight, or fresh air. I cannot see the sky. This is wrong, for I am the man of the century. I will be famous in history.
So just because you're famous, like, you think that you deserve special treatment? Although I guess access to air and water and food is not necessarily special treatment, but
He says that, quote, someday when I am released, I will feel that moment again. I will be happy to kill again. It is my mission.
no.
They'd be fucking stupid to release this guy, right?
Yeah. Did they release him?
The thing about Ecuador is no matter how many people you murder, the maximum is 16 years and is no consecutive sentencing. So you murder one person or you murder 300, you get 16 years. And since he confessed to all the murders, he only got 16 years in prison. Ecuador doesn't allow consecutive sentencing, meaning that they can't be stacked. 16 years and over 300 victims equates to about 17 days in jail per murder.
Wow. This is worse than Canada.
Yeah.
August 31st, 1994, he is let out, released, free man. His behavior was actually so good that his sentence was reduced to 14 years instead of 16.
Oh, boy.
However, the Colombian police were not having it. They were like, fucking Ecuador. An hour after he was released, he was arrested in Ecuador with the help of the Colombian police because he was an illegal immigrant without proper documents. Remember, he's a Colombian citizen. He was extradited via the Rumchaca Bridge. They tried him for a murder of the 10-year-old in the Tolima town, the girl Flore Sanchez. She was 10 years old.
Does Colombia have better murder laws?
They do, yeah.
good.
They do.
Is it 18 years instead of 16?
Huh?
Yeah. Does he get more time at least?
Well, so he went to all the graves and it's actually interesting. I've never seen this, but they actually dressed him as a police officer so
That he wouldn't get
he
attacked?
wouldn't get attacked as he was showing all these graves. But anyway, in 1995, so 1 year later, he was found mentally incompetent via insanity. He was sentenced to the psych wing of Bogota prison, and 3 years later, in 1998, he was released, and now he has never been seen again. He did go back to his mother. His mother was Belinda. As soon as he showed up, he stole all of the things in her house and sold them, left her with nothing, and he has never been seen again.
Good.
Great. Yeah. Good outcome. Good outcome, guys.
Good outcome?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
You know he's done this. He's probably over 500, 600 now.
Oh,
Shit.
my God.
Yeah, because that was in 1998. It's probably been 500 or 600 since he got released.
So
Oh, man.
That's terrible.
Wow.
that's the man of the hour.
Wow. What the F? That is really infuriating. Like, what a annoying end to the fucking story.
Yeah.
Like, at least, I mean, in some cases, like, you know it's unsolved, or somebody is in prison and they're staying there, or they were killed or whatever.
Yeah.
He literally pretty much, like, he was
did his
tried of his
time.
crimes.
He did his time, man.
Did his time.
17 days per murder.
And then, done.
He
That's
was
cool.
his sentence was reduced 2 years because of good behavior for killing 300 people.
Like, just because there were no children in the jail is
Oh,
basically
shit.
why. Well,
All right.
that was completely unsatisfying.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I'm just
Would you
saying.
want him to burn at the stake? Maybe he got killed. I don't fucking know.
When was he born? What year?
1957, I think.
I mean, he
Probably still
could
alive.
still
or
be alive.
1950 or something.
So he's could be still alive, kicking it and murdering children.
All right. So that is that story. Pedro Lopez, thank you so much for Chris for recommending that story. Thank you for all the talkos or supporters that helped us pick that story. We are going to move forward and do another episode. It is going to be for our talco supporters. And it is, I don't want to say it, but you guys are going to end up saying it. We're talking about, it's two little cases, but
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Keep it a surprise for me and Jen. Stop.
Yeah, don't do it.
Darwin Awards. We're talking about YouTubers that have died because they've made super stupid decisions to get famous on YouTube. And we're talking about two of them. And I mean, Darwin Awards is the best thing I can think of. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, anyway, very interesting, very freaking ridiculous. But we are doing that story right now. So if you want to support us and if you want to win this Ann Rule signed book, send in your childhood photo in the next 5 minutes to my email, which is on the Patreon post. And we're going to be going over that too and see who wins. I got some really interesting ones. But that's all I have for this. My name is John. I'm sitting here with Jen and Nicole. This is a Talk Murder Me podcast. Go to talkmurder.com/join to support us. And if you're a Supremo, stay tuned. Oh, and the next episode is for Supremos, and then it'll be available for the second tier.
Yes, so be sure to make sure you're clicking on the Patreon link for those of you who are Supremos to catch it live. And yes, we are going to do the surprise shot request that contains an egg.
Fucking shit. Really?
Yeah.
We can do it.
All right.
Don't pussyfoot it.
Give us about 15 minutes. We'll be back on. We'll post the private link for you guys. But that's it. Until next time, good night, you lovely, lovely people.